Wise guy. Careful, you'll be wearing lipstick.
Oh, lipstick, my favorite. You're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry.
And I'm Irene.
Today we're going to be showing you how we do sprouts. And in the meantime, while Irene's doing that, I'm going to go out in the greenhouse and start getting some gutters prepared for us to sow some snow peas in the gutters. So hang around, we'll have some really interesting things going on. And it'll show you how you can have food in a hurry.
Okay, have fun. I know that under the current circumstances, there's a whole bunch of people who are doing sprouts and microgreens and stuff like that for the first time. I cannot say that. I learned to do sprouts back in probably about 1972. Sprouts back then were very popular in Chinese food and things like that. I was just learning to experiment with some homemade Chinese food. They were expensive in the grocery store, and a lot of times, to be honest, they were pretty scudgy. So for years, I had a canning jar with the canning jar ring and, yes, pantyhose stretched over the top of it, and I would do my sprouts usually once a week. Now, once Henry and I were married, we continued that process. We lived at the time in New Mexico. Getting fresh sprouts was a little iffy at the grocery store. They sometimes were great, they sometimes were not great, but we could get them for probably a tenth of the cost if we were willing to sprout our own. Somewhere along the line, moves, kids, busyness, we stopped sprouting. When we lived in California, they were super fresh, super easy to get. I had enough things on my plate. I didn't need to have to sprout things too, so we stopped. But we decided this is as good a time as any to start resprouting. Now, we had set up to do this a couple of years ago, and we actually went out and we bought some stuff. I probably do have some pantyhose somewhere in a drawer, but you know, the old ring with the pantyhose thing. I have plenty of canning jars. That's not a problem. But we had bought two different types of jar lids. These are your standard white jar lids like you use for storing for canning jars, and they have a stainless steel mesh to them. So these have been washed. The reason everything's on paper towels is this has been cleaned, but I try and keep things not lab clean, but pretty clean when I'm doing something like this. We had bought a couple of these. This is a small jar lid, that's a big one. That was a set. We got these at Lehman's in Kidron, Ohio. They're online. We were fortunate enough to be there, and we were captivated, as we always are, by their wonderful collection of practical things that they sell there. We also picked up these. These are mason jar tops too, designed specifically for sprouting. Okay, it is very important to have these things clean. They do not have to be lab clean, but these were washed with hot soap and water this morning. The canning jars themselves were rinsed with boiling water, and they are upside down because when it comes to biology, things fall down, they do not normally zoom up, although they can be wafted up onto things. When you have a lid, a jar like this, you put a clean piece of paper down and you put it jar down like that, you're basically keeping the stuff pretty darn clean. And my hands are clean, and we had bought these things a couple of years ago because we were planning to start sprouting again. And then again, somehow we just didn't get into it. It happens sometimes. I'm gonna cheat and use a paper towel. We don't use paper towels much in the kitchen except for really nasty things, or when we're trying to do something sanitary like this. All of our seeds for this are specifically designed for sprouting. You should not use regular seeds. Seeds that you buy for growing in the garden may or may not be clean enough. These seeds are sprouting seeds. They were tested to make sure that they didn't have any E. coli in them or anything else that would have the time to grow and be nice and healthy in with your sprouts. If you're growing your own seeds, as long as you're sanitary about things, you're probably fine. But buying regular seeds from a hardware store or someplace like that and expecting to sprout them safely is probably not a good idea. Some of the seeds that you can buy from seed companies also sometimes are treated with fungicide or something else like that. So you just need to be aware of where your seeds came from. As I say, we bought these specifically for sprouting. We have 4 different kinds of seeds here. We have mung beans, broccoli, China rose radishes, and alfalfa. All of those things will take slightly different lengths of time. If you go to the Johnny's website, they will have instructions for all the different things that they sell for sprouting. Adzuki beans, alfalfa, broccoli, buckwheat, onions, radish, sunflowers, wheat, canola, cauliflower, clover, fennel, kale, lentils, mung beans, mustard, and fenugreek. Today we're going to be just doing the 4 that we have here. The basic set of instructions for pretty much everything is fill the jars half full with lukewarm water and soak overnight. And that's how you start it. So all you have to do, and one thing I like about this is it tells you how much to put in here. You don't want to put in gallons of this stuff. So starting with the first one, mung beans. They are a large bean, relatively speaking, but a 1/4 cup of seed will produce 1 cup of sprouts. Okay, so you have to sit there and be honest with yourself and say, how many cups of sprouts do I want? So, there they are. I'm sure pretty much everybody has ever seen mung beans. There we go, mung beans. And these are the Chinese sprouts that you get in Chinese food. Shouldn't call them Chinese sprouts. These are the sprouts you get in Chinese food at a lot of restaurants. They're pretty widely available in the grocery store, although probably less available than they used to be a few years ago. There have been some issues with sprouts being grown under non-sanitary conditions and people getting sick from them. Usually those are alfalfa sprouts, which are used on sandwiches and stuff. I used to get alfalfa sprouts on my sandwiches all the time. And now there's been so many problems with them that very few places even have them available, but I love that crunch. Clean cup. All I'm gonna do is put these guys in here. And I'm gonna put a lid on it. And I'm gonna soak it in warm water. I'm gonna add warm water to that. And that's all there is to the entire process to start with. We're gonna let them sit for about 8 to 10 hours. Then we're gonna drain them off. We're gonna rinse them again. Now, make sure your water is clean. I'm actually going to use bottled water or water that has been boiled for my process. I want to make sure that there's nothing in there that can grow any kind of fungus or anything else. Got our mung beans, broccoli. 1 tablespoon equals about 1½ cups of sprouts. And this is why you need to look at, if I would have put a 1/4 cup of these things in there, woo, I'd be up to my armpits. 1 tablespoon of seed. Okay. I guess if the hardest thing you have to do is figure out how to open the bag, you're doing okay. Okay, alfalfa, right there. 1 tablespoon, again, is about 1½ cups. 1 1 tablespoon. Ah, this has got an inner liner on it. Whee! Oh, that smells good. I'd forgotten how good alfalfa seed smells. It's been a long time since I bought seed for sprouting. Really looking forward to this. When I started thinking about it, I realized how much I missed some of this stuff. I haven't even seen alfalfa sprouts for sale. I mean, sprouts for sale anywhere in quite a while, because there were some really bad recalls. I forget what they had in them. Something awful. But this seed has all been tested to make sure it's not contaminated with E. coli or anything. The last one is radishes. Now, radishes are a little spicy, so that's kind of cool. And it depends on the kind of radish as to how spicy. This is China Rose. There was another one available, I forget. White daikon, maybe? That was also on the choice. I chose this one because I had to make a choice. Made sense to me. Okay. And we just bought a little container of this because we've never done this before. I've had all the other kinds, I think. But it doesn't want to come out. There we go. So those are radishes. I'll put the lid on that. Now all I'm going to do is fill these containers half full with lukewarm water and let it soak. Tonight a lot of people do this overnight. Because of our schedule last night, we just decided that we didn't have quite the energy to do it last night. So I'm doing it this morning. It doesn't matter. What matters is the amount of time. So it's still morning here. I'll be able to dump this out before bedtime. Once I've dumped it out, the seeds, of course, will be sticky inside there because I will roll it like this. This is slightly damp in here, which is why it's sticking. I'll roll it like this, and that'll make the seeds stick to the sides of the bottle. That gives them good aeration and all that sort of thing. I'll sit them in one of these cabinets, someplace dark, and somewhere between 60 and 80 degrees. That's just generally, I think all of these say 60 to 80. 60 to 80, 60 to 80, 60 to 85. 60 to 80 is a good answer. Okay, so between 60 and 85, or 60 and 80, I'm just going to clear out a shelf on my cabinet, and I'm going to put those in there. And then you wait. Every morning and every evening, you rinse them with clean water. Do the same thing where you make the seeds stick to the inside so that they have good aeration and space to grow. And wait. Alfalfa is 3 to 5 days. Broccoli is 5 to 7 days. Radishes are 2 to 5 days. Mung beans are 4 to 5 days. That's all there is to it. It's not hard. We decided to do it again this year because we're kind of in that lean time right between different crops of lettuce and pak choi and stuff like that. I should have another batch of lettuce off tonight. I'll have another batch of Swiss chard in probably 3 days. I'll have pak choi next week. I have kohlrabi that's coming off on a regular basis, but we're just trying to create something else in between. That's just a little different. I can take these and I can add them to a salad to both increase the volume of the salad and change up the flavor. We have multiple types of lettuce in our greenhouse garden, and they all have different flavors. But this, again, will add some spicy notes and stuff like that. It's just like in the summertime being able to add nasturtium or something else like that to give a little spice, just a little zip to your salad. Hope you enjoyed this today, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can see what other stuff we're doing. Lots going on this spring and summer. Always cooking, growing, fixing things. So until next time, have a great week. Bye.